Somebody's somebody's asking who is translating. Maridel, sí. We have two. Okay. So thank you very much. If somebody is having problems, let us know on listening. Okay. So thank you very much again, all the people here in this reunion. This is the second event that we are hosting here in this fantastic Learning Planet Fest from our series of three in Happiness School of Happiness series. So we are the World Happiness Foundation, a Miami-based NGO whose mission is to promote happiness and well-being globally through innovation, learning, cooperation, and the design of more equitable and sustainable societies. As tomorrow we celebrate the World Education International Education Day, I'm sorry, the International Education Day, and it's an opportunity for us to bring you a methodology aligned to the UNESCO framework of happy schools, uh, designed to address currently world challenges. Feel free to ask any doubt that you can have, and I'm going to present you the people that is going to show this framework. Um, Luis Miguel Gallardo, it's our founder and CEO. He's not going to be present today, but Paulina Nava, she's our global strategist. Paulina, she's an industrial engineer and by training and a world traveler and a soul and explorer and heart, deeply passionate about connecting with people, cultures, and nature. She has facilitated workshops on well-being, leaderships, and consciousness in over 30 countries, working with all hospitals teams in Nepal, hospitality professionals in Bhutan, and indigenous communities across Latin America. Uh, Paulina designs human-centered experiential journeys that awaken, sorry, that help us awakening, and also, uh, sorry, um, also with clarity and purpose and collective well-being grounded in the belief that inner transformation is the foundation of a systemic change. Systems is or one of our key words in the World Happiness Foundation. Um, Also, we have here present Silvia Esteves. She's former CEO and founder of Sumaset, executive and agile coach, an international speaker on well-being and happiness topics. Committed to human flourishing across organizations, education, and society, she integrates emotional intelligence, positive psychology, and mindful practice to support leaders, teams, and adolescents and families. She's also the leader of Schools of Happiness at the World Happiness Foundation, where she advances education rooted in awareness, purpose, and joy. Our last speaker this afternoon, is Gema Ballesteros. She's a head of well-being, PSHE, and health school lead, and chief of happiness officer with extensive experience in training, change management, and education consultant. She's certified a senior mental health lead and mental health first aider and holds MPQSL qualification. She's also advisor in the World Happiness Foundation, and she supports leaders in and institutions to develop healthy, sustainable, and people-centered cultures through leadership development, writing, and environmental consulting. So tonight they are going to present how the World Happiness Foundations uh, work with this framework. We will present the capitalism, that is the philosophy where it stands or work, and all or NGO philosophy. Also, they will present an education and leadership um, uh, base, sorry. and also the schools of happiness model and how actually we go to the field, no, and how is the action plan. At the end, as I told you, we will leave a space for Q&As, but feel free to write in the chat box any doubt that you might have. So thank you very much and welcome, Paulina, please.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you everyone for being here. Before starting, I would like to ask, how are you? How are you joining and entering this space? And as you start sharing in the group, how are you feeling today? I would also like to thank Sandra for organizing all these different conferences that we're holding on the behalf of the World Happiness Foundation, and also, of course, all the organizers of the Learning Planet Festival, and all of you for being here. We're deeply grateful. We're happy to see people from our community and people from these different parts of the world. So I'll love to start reading. How are you? And also, if you want to open your mic, how are you and where are you joining from? You can either or open your mic or put in the chat. Sandra from Aruba. I'm right now in New Jersey, normally from Mexico, but now in New Jersey, Miami, Paula, Don, Oregon, Isabel, north of France. Oh, nice. From Madrid, from London, from Madrid, Jeanette from Aruba, from Merida, Yucatan, Judith, thank you, Manila, Florida. What time is in Manila, Alejandro? Lynn Harper from Chicago, Nata from Argentina, Michigan, Spain, Mendoza, Veracruz. So I think it's always easier to answer where are we from than how are we, right? Because everyone just put, like, one person said, I'm happy to be here, but the rest, I didn't hear how are you feeling, right? We were speaking of the importance of pausing just before starting, and before starting the whole conversation on what we do in the foundation and this beautiful initiative of Schools of Happiness, I would love to invite you to pause, right? I see here people is feeling tired but hopeful, with a lot of joy to share this space with all of you. Happy to meet new people. Perfect. Interested with the information? Well, before starting, I would just love to invite you to ground a little bit, to hold this space and enter with a lot of mindfulness and presence, because that's one of the things we always like to do, right? We live in a very rush world where all is doing, doing, and doing, and we need a space to pause and to just stop a little bit. So I invite you to sit comfortably with your back straight. Let's release. It's the end of the week. We are entering the weekend, so maybe we are happy, maybe we are cold, maybe we are warm, but however we feel, let's just be with that feeling. Shake a little, stretch a little bit. Let's inhale as we raise our hands up, feeling the present moment, and exhale as we have. And you can close your eyes and let's just ground with 5 deep breaths. We just don't need many more than that. So be very aware of your breath and let's start inhaling together, bringing all the air in, feeling how our lungs expand, holding a little bit, and then exhaling slowly. You can feel as if you were blowing a candle. Then you can inhale again, hold, exhale, and you can continue doing 3 more deep breaths with total awareness. Feel your body, be aware of your feelings, whatever they are, just sit with them. And as you go finishing these 5 deep breaths that allow us to come back to the space, as you be present here and now. And whenever you're ready and you feel like it, you can open your eyes again. And from the foundation, we always invite all the people to have their cameras on, for presence, for knowing who's there, right? Because we are in different parts of the world, and we just love to see each other, to actually know the faces, see the smiles, see people who's cold, people who's warm, right? Just to connect a little bit more. So thank you for having your cameras on. Also, it's just an invitation. It's not an obligation, but we always love to connect a little bit more. So thank you for that. And I will start sharing a little bit more of the philosophy of the foundation, because that's what holds us. And we didn't want it to just jump right into that, because part of our philosophy is coming back to presence, coming back to this moment. And we do believe that's key for education, because we already live in this crazy rushed world. We need spaces that actually can hold the space for us, and that we can hold the space for ourselves. So thank you. I'm really, really happy to see many people here. And as we were saying, this is our agenda for today. So I will start sharing a little bit more of this vision we have in education, right? We know that in this interconnected world, that we have a lot of challenges as global warming, challenges as we are facing now, of wars, of conflicts, of a lot of violence. We actually need and to promote a different type of education, right? And we are all here for doing that, and an education that really help us build not just the intellectual part, but also the emotional, the social, and all these global competencies we need to survive. And not just to survive, we want to thrive. We want to thrive in this life, not just surviving. So, are we teaching to survive, or are we teaching our kids and our students to thrive, right? To supervive. So that's the first question, and the invitation, right? To reflect, to question ourselves, to actually go beyond. And in order to do that, we invite everyone to shift that current approach. Right now, even in the SDGs that we see from the UN, the Social Development Goals, we see they might be created with from a different mindset, from a mindset that we are not judging as good or bad, but that might be limiting us, right? Because it's based on scarcity, it's based on scarcity mindset, and we need to create from a different mindset, right? That I'm going to introduce just right away. But that's part of the paradigm shift we want to introduce you today, because we do have a bold vision, and that bold vision cannot be achieved if we are not with the right mindset, right? And that bold vision from the World Happiness Foundation is 10 billion free, conscious, and happy people by 2050. Right now in the world, some may wonder, we are 8 billion. We are 8 billion right now, but it's estimated that for 2050, we reach the 10 billion people, right? So our vision, it's everybody happy by 2050, or at least with the possibility to be happy. We are not responsible of everyone's happiness, but we are responsible to creating the conditions so people can flourish, so people can be happy. And that's our goal, and that's our vision. And you're very invited to join us in this vision, right? With this new mindset that we want to introduce. It's not that it's new in the world, it's just that we normally live from another perspective. So we want to move beyond scarcity, and this is why the mindset matters, right? We live acting, as we were saying, we live doing, and we need to go beyond. So we need to go outside this mindset trap, because all the goals that even are set, they might be set by this scarcity mindset, right? So this come from deficit, It's born from fear, it's born from limitation, and it's very difficult to create something new from that energy. So that's why we invite you, and the new paradigm we want to introduce here is to embrace an abundant mindset, right? To really embrace this abundant mindset that we can actually start living and transforming. So we are moving beyond scarcity to abundance, right? And I want to show you how that abundance mindset looks because it's part of our philosophy. I will jump also into what is this philosophy of capitalism, right? It sounds wonderful. It sounds nice. It sounds, of course, it's like the differentiation from capitalism, but what does it actually means, right? Capitalism. It sounds amazing. It sounds cool, but what it means. So in capitalism, we embrace this abundance mindset. And we have here the comparison, right? From scarcity and from abundance. So what do we find in scarcity? We find fear, fear-driven decisions, just the sensation and the emotion of fear. From scarcity, it actually comes from limitation and creates more limitation. It creates anxiety. This is like zero-sum competition. We're always guided to compete, right? And that's very capitalism. Capitalism is also based on scarcity because it always feels like we are lacking something, right? Like we want more, more money, more fame, more success. So we are in that kind of hamster wheel, running against all these goals and the story of more, right? So that creates a lot of anxiety and also a lot of competition that actually doesn't add more value to anyone. So from an scarcity mindset, I normally think, what can I win? And what can I take, right? That's what like this mindset creates. And I invite you to reflect, when have I felt this way, when I have acted this way? Many, or our ego would say, no, of course I'm in the abundance mindset, right? But how many times do we act from scarcity? So it's how many times I have acted from fear, from limitation. And well, this is can be based more on the political interest from our scarcity mindset. But if we move to an abundance mindset, is where we find trust and cooperation, like we are trying to do, and the objective of also these summits, right? And this festival of Learning Planet Festival. We want to create cooperation, we want to trust, we want to create something different. So that take us to flourishing, and not just individual flourishing, but community flourishing. And I'm sure, raise your hand, please. I want to see your hands raised if you have felt that flourishing in community. I think if we are here, we have felt that, right? That flourishing in community, even if it's our family or the ones who are in the World Happiness Foundation, we know how it is to flourish in community. And also is the idea that when everyone succeeds or anyone succeeds, we all succeed. So it's helping for all to succeed. And also it allows us to think big and set these bold goals, and it, instead of inviting us to compete, it invites us to collaborate. So actually, it also enables us to envision these bold solutions that once seemed impossible, right? So this is the invitation to actually start tapping into this abundance mindset, and that's part of this new system, new paradigm we're proposing from the World Happiness Foundation. The founder, Luis, came with this a bold idea and bold new paradigm. All my life, I've been, it's part of my philosophy to break paradigms, right? Individual paradigms, paradigms in relationships. And when I met Luis, I saw he was defying a systemic paradigm, right? A paradigm that it goes beyond. So what does capitalism says? It says that rather than measuring success just by GDP, this gross the profit, right? Just focusing on profit and the material growth, we need to also focus on capitalism measures, including this holistic well-being. So that's part of what we are doing. And there are three core values in our capitalism framework and philosophy. That's one, fear, freedom from fear, consciousness to expand, and happiness to share. When we are free, think of a moment that you were free from fear. right? How does it feel? This expansion and this consciousness allow us to actually identify that, to expand this consciousness and this happiness to share. Because happiness is nothing if we have no one to share it with, right? Although we can be happy by ourselves, it becomes more and more and it grows when we share it. So that's our framework and our philosophy, capitalism. And it's very well fundamented at base, right? It's not just a crazy idea that came from somewhere. Of course, it comes from the heart, but it's well sustained. It really has science on the back. It has contemplative sciences and practices. So we invite you to take a deeper look into this, but these are the core and the basis. And this will be explaining a little bit while more, but it's like we have 9 dimensions that how we measure happiness, and it's just not something abstract, right? But we'll dive deeper into this in a little bit with Sylvia. Um, and I think some of the a main question that we always ask and that we invite you to ask to yourself is under this framework and philosophy of capitalism, every policy, every decision in the businesses or cities or institutions of education, we must ask this question: does this increase the freedom, the consciousness, and the happiness for all my students, all the parents, all the teachers, or not? Because if not, then it falls short. So we invite you to ask that in your company, in your school, as a teacher. I don't know, and I forgot to ask. You can reply on the chat if you're a teacher, if you're a director, if you're just in education, or if you're just interested in the topic. But ask yourself this, even in your life: does this increase my freedom or my family's freedom or my loved one's freedom and everyone's freedom, or not, right? Consciousness and happiness. So we invite you to ask yourself that question. You can even screenshot, write it on a notebook, or just have it in your memory. But it's what we want to ask you. And these are the SDGs from an abundance perspective, right? Like we reframe them and write them with this abundance perspective. We will share this also with you. Just it's a new invitation, right? To actually create this space from abundance and not from scarcity. So this is where we enter to reframe education, right? We need to put as mindful education, conscious education, and we need to actually enhance this education to go outside this hamster wheel that we've been pursuing for a long, long time, right? So we aim to provide this learning that actually nurtures the whole person, the head, the heart, and the spirit, and cultivates these lifelong learners who can contribute to a happier society, right? So it's sad. I will pause here a little bit to give you this, like, what is exactly these schools of happiness, but is that right? How we nurture not just the mind, but we nurture also the heart and the spirit. When we were in Bhutan with the monks, sharing with the monks, with the Buddhist monks, they were saying like, when I think, and they weren't saying when I think, right? When they weren't pointing to their heads, they were saying when I think, they were actually pointing to their hearts. So it's like, it's a different framework how they can actually think with the hearts, right? And develop a different space from the heart. So that's the invitation. How can we actually introduce more of this mindful education, this happier society, nurturing head, heart, and spirit, right? Placing well-being, consciousness, and personal growth as the core of schooling, not as a luxury, because it becomes a trend and it becomes a luxury, and just those who are wealthy can achieve happiness. No, we need to make this, and this is part of our vision, and we made this with the UN, that happiness is a right. It's a human right, right? We need it as a foundational goal, not as a luxury. So that's part of this invitation. And now I would love to invite our next speaker, Sylvia, who who has been developing all this initiative of schools of happiness, to tell you a little bit more of what is it, right? Of what is it, and for those of you listening in English, she will speak in Spanish, so you can tap into interpretation and you can go directly to hear Paula that will be translating from Spanish to English as I share the presentation. So if anyone has any problem, please write on the chat and we will help you. So thank you, Sylvie, for being here. I give you the word so you can share what is the Schools of Happiness initiative that we have from the World Happiness Foundation.
Pues nada, muchísimas gracias a ti, Pau, por la presentación. Muchísimas gracias a todas las personas que estáis aquí, que es un placer poder compartir algo realmente trascendente, porque creemos que lo que realmente estamos haciendo en la Fundación actualmente va a tener un gran impacto y está teniendo ya un gran impacto a nivel mundial. Y bueno, y la verdad es que estamos como muy alineados con, pues, con un mundo donde realmente la felicidad, el bienestar sean la clave del futuro, ¿no? Y realmente del futuro de todas esas personitas que queremos dejar, que van a ser al final los líderes del futuro. Así que, bueno, pues nada, simplemente presentarme en dos líneas muy rápidas. Actualmente, pues lidero este proyecto de School of Happiness y la verdad es que estoy encantada de poder hacerlo porque creo que realmente lo que estamos haciendo es algo que va a tener ese impacto que os comentaba y que, bueno, actualmente tenemos dos escuelas de felicidad en el mundo ya certificadas, muy alineadas con lo que en la fundación tenemos como valores fundamentales, muy alineadas también con los valores de la UNESCO y las iniciativas de la UNESCO. Y bueno, y me encantaría contaros un poco realmente cómo se estructura Escuelas de Felicidad. Es un proyecto muy, muy innovador, muy holístico, que bueno, tiene que ver un poco con lo que estaba comentando Pau. Y bueno, si podéis ir pasando diapos, pues la idea es como fundamentalmente esa paradoja que hemos aprendido quizá todos, ¿no? Que al final el éxito en la vida nos lleva a la felicidad cuando realmente, como dice uno de mis grandes mentores, Tal Ben Shahar, dice, ¿no? Que realmente que las personas más felices al final son las personas más exitosas. Y esto es muy importante porque la felicidad nos puede llevar a ese éxito, no solamente a ese éxito que pensamos en la vida a nivel de resultados económicos, sino al éxito global en la vida. Y para ello, una de las preguntas que nos hacíamos cuando empezamos a diseñar escuelas de felicidad es esta, ¿no? Si el éxito escolar pudiésemos medirlos también en felicidad y bienestar. Y realmente estamos en un mundo muy desafiante a muchos niveles, a nivel social, a nivel económico, a nivel político, a nivel ambiental. Y realmente si priorizásemos la felicidad y el bienestar, realmente nos daríamos cuenta de que ese éxito que estamos buscando a largo plazo sería más que sostenible. Entonces, si pasamos a la siguiente diapositiva, vemos datos que, bueno, están evidentemente más que fundamentados por, bueno, pues un montón de asociaciones, entre ellas la American Psychological Association, National Center of Education Statistics, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, National Association of School Psychologists y otras más. Y son datos realmente relevantes, realmente alarmantes, porque el pensar que tenemos un 75% de personas a nivel mundial que están experimentando, y estoy hablando de estudiantes, como podéis ver en el icono del librito, que están experimentando estrés y ansiedad en las escuelas, realmente es un dato muy, muy llamativo. Por otro lado, chicos que abandonan la escuela, y cuando hablamos de escuelas no queremos solo enfocarnos en escuelas, sino también en universidades. Y realmente este dato que es de escuelas, o sea, es muy llamativo que el 50% de niños que abandonan la escuela lo abandonan por falta de motivación y entusiasmo. Y claro, esto que sucede, y justamente anteayer estaba dando una conferencia en un instituto, o sea, de secundaria, hablo de chicos entre 12 y 18 años, secundaria y bachillerato aquí en España, y, y me llamó muchísimo la atención porque pensaba que este dato, aunque era a nivel mundial, no era a nivel español y realmente, concretamente en este sitio, sí lo era. Eh, es muy triste el pensar que haya una desmotivación tan grande para que los niños lleguen a abandonar la escuela. El 39% de docentes, ¿no? Y se ven ese icono ahí con esa tiza o ese dedo, han experimentado depresión y ansiedad porque realmente sienten, y esto es lo que comentan, ¿no? Y explican, que no son capaces de encauzar a nivel sistémico esa educación, más allá que evidentemente tienen que entregar el currículum que manda el colegio, en este caso el sistema educativo de cada país, sino que además se dan cuenta de que esa desmotivación y esas pocas ganas que tienen los niños, que ya no son capaces de hacer nada por ellos. Entonces, bueno, como veis, hay un montón de datos en esta diapositiva bastante alarmantes. Y entonces, nosotros con Escuelas de Felicidad, si pasamos a la siguiente diapositiva, pensábamos en cómo podemos cerrar esta brecha, porque realmente es una brecha muy alarmante. Entonces, ¿qué hacemos nosotros en Escuelas de Felicidad? Lo que hacemos es empoderar a las escuelas a nivel sistémico para poder integrar al final todos esos valores que para nosotros son tan relevantes como la conciencia, la felicidad, la libertad y la sostenibilidad, porque al final es importante pensar que cuando a veces hacemos cualquier tipo de intervención en las escuelas puede ser algo puntual y evidentemente ese algo puntual que hacemos puede estar muy bien, pero lo interesante es que haya algo que sea sostenible en el tiempo, que pueda ir modificando esas culturas educativas y que genere de alguna manera también esos entornos donde los chicos, los estudiantes, los docentes y las comunidades puedan florecer. Entonces, lo que intentamos es cerrar, ¿no?, esta brecha de la felicidad al transformar esa educación en ese motor de éxito y bienestar integral, pensando siempre primero en el bienestar y luego en el éxito. Entonces, en la siguiente diapositiva vemos por qué realmente Escuelas de Felicidad es un programa único. Y claro, es un programa único porque realmente estamos acompañando en todo el proceso al colegio, a la universidad, al sistema educativo en general, con la intención de que, primero, de mejorar el bienestar, porque esta es la clave. Por un lado tenemos como los entornos educativos, es decir, que el entorno, el sistema, ponga las condiciones para que las personas que forman parte del sistema estén bien. Y por otro lado, trabajamos también en el bienestar individual de las personas y en el y en el bienestar de los equipos, para poder al final llegar a generar esas culturas de bienestar, que no solo sea el entorno, sino que también las personas formen parte y se responsabilicen individualmente de mejorar ese bienestar. Por otro lado, también queremos eso, fomentar ese compromiso, porque al final también tenemos que pensar que hablar de bienestar y felicidad no es algo que tenga que ver con leerse 4 libros de bienestar y felicidad o ver 3 o 4 charlas de bienestar y felicidad, como actualmente hoy, por ejemplo, estamos aquí viéndolo, sino que también tiene que ver con el compromiso individual y con el compromiso de los equipos y de las organizaciones educativas. De manera que también pensemos en algo que vaya mucho más allá, que sea un propósito mucho más grande, que podamos contribuir a un mundo en el que la solidaridad sea mucho mayor, a un mundo que sea más compasivo y un mundo que sea más sostenible, más sustentable y feliz. Si vemos la siguiente diapositiva, nos damos cuenta de esto que hablábamos al inicio, que la intervención es de manera completamente holística. ¿Por qué? Porque no solamente intervenimos con los docentes, que actualmente tenemos nuestro programa de docentes de felicidad, sino que también intervenimos en las familias para que todos vayamos alineados. Es decir, que lo que estemos educando, ¿no? Enseñando, en este caso a docentes, también podamos hacerlo con las familias para que todo el mundo esté alineado, de manera que eso redunde directamente en los estudiantes. También para ello trabajamos con el liderazgo educativo para que esas personas que están liderando ese entorno vuelvan, lo que decía antes, a poner esas condiciones de bienestar para que los estudiantes se puedan desarrollar de la mejor manera posible. Y todo esto, lógicamente, que es la bola, vamos a decir, del final, redunda directamente en la comunidad porque todos formamos parte, ¿no? Al final es un abordaje de manera sistémica. En la siguiente diapositiva, como podéis ver, tenemos la rueda de la felicidad, que en la Fundación para nosotros es algo clave, donde inspirarnos a la hora de realizar nuestros programas formativos, nuestros acompañamientos. Y para ello, si veis en el lado izquierdo, ¿no? Que hay un pequeño zoom de esa rueda, hablamos de las 9 dimensiones. Esto lo conectamos mucho también con el marco de Bután, porque realmente es un lugar donde la felicidad ha sido prioritaria, ya que ellos hablan, ¿no? De ese Gross National Happiness, y creemos que es tan importante, evidentemente, hablar, como en muchos países, del Producto Interior Bruto, ¿no? Y poder crecer, evidentemente, a nivel económico. Pero si a nivel social no estamos bien, es muy difícil que la sociedad mejore. Entonces nos inspiramos aquí hablando de esas 9 dimensiones, y para ello hablamos de cuál es mi hábitat, cuál es mi entorno, cómo está mi nivel a nivel familiar, cómo estoy a nivel familiar, cómo estoy a nivel de amistades, cuál es mi experiencia a nivel de diversidad, porque realmente, como todos sabemos, vivimos en un mundo mucho más global y es relevante, ¿no? Que lo tengamos en cuenta, cómo es mi salud, cómo es actualmente, cómo me siento a nivel de mi ser, cómo está mi mente, mis finanzas, mi dinero y por supuesto también mis derechos y mis responsabilidades como ciudadano del mundo. Entonces, si pasamos a la siguiente diapositiva, ya por poder entrar un poco más en el funcionamiento de nuestro programa de escuelas de felicidad, lo que hacemos, la primera parte es un diagnóstico, hacemos una autoevaluación a través de, pues eso, de una encuesta que pasamos pues al sistema educativo, bien sea un colegio, bien sea una universidad, y vemos un poco en el punto en el que está ese sistema a nivel de las condiciones de bienestar que para nosotros son tan relevantes. A partir de ahí diseñamos un plan estratégico y ese plan estratégico deriva de ese informe diagnóstico y, por supuesto, también de las conversaciones que mantenemos con los líderes, con los grupos de interés, para poder hacer un programa ad hoc que incluya, por un lado, iniciativas y, por otro lado, capacitaciones, por supuesto, y estrategias que generen ese bienestar. A continuación tenemos el programa de capacitación con todos los docentes que intervienen, ¿no? Que como nosotros les llamamos también esos activistas del bienestar, para que al final bajen al aula todas esas prácticas que nosotros les entregamos, esas prácticas pedagógicas, para bajarlas al aula y que semana tras semana se vayan implementando estas prácticas para poder generar ese cambio que de alguna manera nosotros consideramos que es el adecuado para poder llegar a certificarse como escuela de felicidad. Después ya en el siguiente punto lo que hacemos es medir de nuevo, o sea, volvemos a la encuesta de inicio y medimos cómo está esa escuela o esa universidad, y hacemos un seguimiento para poder, de alguna manera, recomendar un plan de acción que pueda servirles para llegar a poder certificarse como escuela de felicidad. También, por supuesto, a través de una rúbrica vemos si esa escuela o esa universidad cumple los requisitos que nosotros consideramos claves para poder certificarse. Y fundamentalmente, para cerrar, por resumir, ¿por qué es tan importante escuelas de felicidad? Por un lado, evidentemente, escuelas de felicidad genera ese reconocimiento a nivel global. Por otro lado, cualquier escuela que integre esos programas de bienestar, al final lo que están es generando un mayor compromiso, pues tanto con los estudiantes como con los docentes. Entonces, al final redunda en un mayor bienestar. Los docentes se comprometen más, pues porque lógicamente se sienten más cómodos, disminuye la rotación, disminuye el absentismo y esto creo que a día de hoy es muy relevante. Sin duda, a nivel de salud, reduce el estrés, la ansiedad, disminuye el bullying, pues porque hay millones de estudios sobre esto, mejora la autoestima de las personas y el desempeño. Las comunidades se hacen mucho más fuertes y por otro lado, sin duda, el rendimiento académico es muchísimo mayor. Y es que esto es clave porque, por suerte o por desgracia, es verdad que es el medidor clave, pero es verdad lo que mejora, ¿no? Cuando tenemos en cuenta estrategias de bienestar en una escuela o en un sistema educativo. Y lógicamente estamos alineándonos con estrategias y objetivos a nivel global, como son los ODS de las Naciones Unidas, que creo que no es baladí, o sea, deberíamos también de tenerlo en cuenta. Y bueno, fundamentalmente, para no robar mucho más tiempo a mi compañera Gema, agradeceros y de verdad nuestra intención es eso, es empoderar, empoderar para cultivar esa felicidad de todas las personas que vivimos en este mundo. Así que, pues darle el paso a Gema, mi compañera Gema, que os hablará un poco más de este programa más bajado a tierra y despedirme con mucha gratitud y de verdad de que podáis estar aquí acompañándonos. Así que gracias de verdad.
Muchas gracias, Silvia. Thank you very much, first of all, to Learning Planet and the World Happiness Foundation for this space. And now it's my turn, and we are going to talk about action plan and how are we going to do it. I'm Gemma Ballesteros, and I'm leading educational well-being in a primary setting in England. As an advisor, I'm working close to Silvia in the School of Happiness project, and also working as advisor for the World Happiness Foundation. So I would like to start talking about the action plan. How are we doing this possible? So the first thing is I'm going to give you an overview about the steps that we are taking. We will create the happiness committee within people who are in your school. We don't provide people that is going to your settings, your premises. We would like you to create this committee to prepare exactly what Silvia just said, the initial diagnosis, and organize and design a smart plan, an action plan with smart objectives. We will support the school and all teachers with our guidance and our training. We will provide tools, strategies, activities to put them in place, to take them, as Silvia said, to put this in your classroom with your students across the whole school. After a while, when this plan is being implemented, we will evaluate with you and we will have a feedback and a follow-up about the possible improvement actions that we might need required. in the project. And with all the documentation and the information and evidence, you will, as a school, submit your application to get your accreditation. So if we go one by one, all these steps that I just mentioned in one go, the objective for the creation of the happiness committee will be to provide a multidisciplinary team who is responsible of leading the project. If we don't have leaders, it's very, very hard to get a plan in place. So we suggest that members of your school or your organization, such as school team leaders for your leadership team, teachers, counselors, parents, students, even staff that support like middays or officers, would be great to create a multidisciplinary team. Their responsibilities will be coordinate, monitoring, evaluate, and communicate during the whole process to every single people involved in the project. The second step will be to provide or to administer the well-being surveys. Or you can do actually, you could do interviews, you can do observations to get information about which areas in your school are the weakest areas. So you need to be able to identify your strengths and your weakness. Why? Because we want to create and design a plan that is going to be successful. It's not going to make sense if you design an activity or an interview that an intervention, sorry, to put in place in your setting if it's really strong in an area. You might want to improve the area that is not that strong. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's the relevant thing to do. So we need to assess the school climate or culture, the mental and emotional health, and the level of satisfaction of your students, your teachers, and your families. What current practices linked with emotional education, linked with your mission, linked with your vision, are your values, is your school putting in place? What actually you are doing now? With all this information, what we are going to do next is create and design your objectives. What is more smart objectives in line with your emotional and mental well-being, in line with the positive education, with social connection and empathy, conscious leadership, and overall aligns with the World Happiness Foundation philosophy that Pau and Sylvia has mentioned before. These objectives should be SMART, which means, as you can see for the letters, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and in a time. I think that everyone is confident in that. It's not the first time that you see this. Afterwards, we will design our action plan. This action plan is not going to be universal. It's going to be specific for your school. So you create your own action plan. For example, I'm going to give you an example. Imagine that you want to improve parental engagement, right? Because your parents are not really engaged with any activity that is happening at your setting. So your strategic line would be improve parental engagement. What are your actions? Are you gonna do workshops? Are you gonna create like a parents school? Are you gonna create a school parents association? What are your actions? Who are gonna be responsible for that? It's gonna be any leader. It's gonna be teachers, the orientation or psychology department. Who is gonna lead this action? In what time is going to take place? It's going to start in September, in November. When are you going to finish it? It's going to be forever. We need to timeline this. And what resources are required for your actions? So this is a really thoughtful plan that it needs to be designed in a team. It's nothing that we provide, is you create your own action plan, depends of the results of your diagnosis in the first step. After that, what we will do with you, we will support you and we will help you with a training. So we will implement emotional training and a positive leadership program. From the World Happiness Foundation, we've got our training that is called Happy Schools, and we will incorporate some active methodologies such as mindfulness, positive education, cooperative learning from different point of view, including neuroeducation. And we will give you access to all our contents, all the resources, all the tools and the activities that you have to put in place in your school. Pau, if you can pass to the next one, or yeah, that's the one that we are talking about. So you will have access to all the resources, all the activities and the tools to make this real. Afterwards, we will help you to include this well-being area or all the knowledge that you are going to get from the training into your school. How are you going to implement it? I'm a teacher as well. I know that time is so precious. I know that every single teacher is telling me, Gemma, we can't do that. There is no time for spending an hour or half an hour doing meditation or yoga or doing this or doing that. Here in my school, for example, I introduced something that is called Give Me Five. Every single school, every single class, every single teacher has 5 minutes at least per day to give me five, right? Give me five means, for example, this is what we do after lunchtime. Children come back to class, we do the register, and they give me 5 minutes of focus and meditation. I play some guiding meditations for kids to breathe, to calm down, to focus on what is important now. Breathe, listen to your body, and then get ready for the next lesson. I think that this is really, really important. Teach them how to go back to themselves after accelerating time when it's break. Go back to yourself, calm down, breathe, focus, be ready for next. So we can create spaces to promote emotional expression, to promote games, creativity, gratitude, connection, etc. There are so many activities that you can put in place, and I believe me, it doesn't require a lot of time. Afterwards, what is the next step in our plan? We create internal communication channels. This is very, very important. Why? Because if reception or the kindergarten is doing a really good activity, and let's say year five, grades 5 or 6, they don't know what is going on in reception or in nursery, it makes no sense, the project. The project has to be informed and shared with every single part of the school. Parents, teachers, across the school, no matter what age, because this is essential. Information is essential. Use social media, use digital platforms, newsletter, etc. But you need to engage every single part of the partners with the project. Parents, students, families, etc. We will aim to get a final evaluation, because we will repeat the surveys and we will conduct a qualitative and quantitative evaluation. With this second part of the information, the surveys, we are going to measure the program's impact. Is this making anything? Is making any difference? Is it good? What is working? What is not working? And we will adjust the plan based on the results that we are getting. This is basically continuous improvement. Why do we need this? Because the last part of the plan would be collect all the evidence, photographs, videos, reports, results, etc., to prepare a final report, to summarize the whole process. In your school, the committee, we will submit your own application to the World Happiness Foundation to get your accreditation as a happy school with all this evidence. And when you are ready, we will audit your school. We will pass the rubric that I'm not going to go into detail because I want to give you a space to talk, discuss, and ask questions. But it will be kind of a questionnaire, an audit from us to see whether you are struggling or you are doing really well. We will hold a ceremony or a little event to acknowledge all your efforts, all your achievements, and we will give you the certification and the award to recognize publicly in social media that your school is accredited with the global recognition of happy school. It seems like a long project, but it's not long, it's for the rest of your life because we are not teaching or training you to improve an area. Is as Pau and Sylvia mentioned before, this is a whole holistic program. It's for people, it's designed to improve themselves. So don't think that it's going to be 1 year or 2 years. This is something that we want forever, for their lives. And we hope that makes a huge difference in their education. With this, I would like just to say thank you very much. And I would like to offer the last 15 minutes, Sandra, if I'm not wrong, to go back to your questions about the process of the action plan or the philosophy of the World Happiness Foundation. So if you have any questions, please open your micros and just share with us.
Yes, we have some questions already in the chat, but before we continue with the questions, I just want to let you know tomorrow, the couple that is going to present our last event, they will talk about the holistic curriculum. So you are invited to join us tomorrow. I left the link already in the chat. So we go to the first question. Pau, you have it already over there. So Paulina, it's a question from Florian. You spoke about scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. I was wondering how you see this to become established in a person so that it is lived and embodied rather than only positive thinking without a genuine experience of abundance.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Florian, for that wonderful question. I think it's very necessary to acknowledge this kind of questions because normally sometimes everything stays just in the philosophy, right? Wow, an abundance mindset sounds amazing, right? But how do I get to that abundance mindset? And as Florian is saying, not to be just the positive thinking, right? The mindset is formed by beliefs, by our current thoughts, by our paradigms. And I think consciousness is the path to that shift and that transformation, right? So in order to make students, teachers, and anyone to shift from one mindset to the other is through awareness and consciousness. And through that consciousness, because that's also very philosophical, right? Consciousness is like we need to question. So through questioning, we invite first for people to reflect, right? Like when in my life, as I was doing, when in my life have I competed for something, right? Like have I been in this scarcity mindset? And how can I actually tap into this abundance mindset? Where and when in my life have I feel abundant? And abundance is not just about money, right? It's about time. It's about how I think it's enough of something, right? It's not having everything that I want because that's very capitalistic, right? Like having more and more, but it's about like how I can also be okay and happy with what I already have with a sense of gratitude. So we do have all these tools and reflection exercises to start getting this into a vivid experience, that it doesn't stay in the philosophical part, right? So we actually start through the development, and because a mindset is something that can be developed, right? It's just noticing and creating awareness in order to go to other paradigms, because there are already other paradigms. Let me know, Florian, if this answers your question. I could talk about this like for another hour, but we are not here for that. Although I love these topics, but just let me know, Florian, please, if you if I acknowledge your question.
Well, I would love to explore that for an hour with you. I don't know if there will be a time for that, but yes, it gives, of course, it gives some answer to that question. And while you were saying, I was wondering, because it was Sylvia, I think she had this wheel where there were different components around happiness, I think it was, and one of them was the spiritual component. And in my observation, while introspection and reflection for sure is important and relevant in order to shift a genuine experience and approach to life, I think there is a spiritual component which is very difficult to grasp in a structured kind of sense, which can be implemented as a program, because it's a very personal journey that every person, well, if they choose so, to embrace by themselves. And I think there is that component which, while we cannot necessarily teach, I think is important to note, yeah, so that we understand a human being is more than just a rational kind of structured approach being, let's say, but it is a being that has a spiritual component which we need to embrace in order to really lift, let's say, ourselves into that different kind of experience of life, yeah, where we can genuinely experience love and abundance and unity and those values that give us a sense of happiness, let's say, to keep it more simple.
Totally. Yes, and I agree with you. As I was saying, maybe here we also have other questions, but just to tap into that, when we talk about spirituality, happiness, it's not that you actually have all the techniques, right? Because we all experience all those things differently. So I actually think, and we work with schools in Bhutan, in India, that it's giving the space for people to develop their own spirituality and happiness, the tools and the space, because you can have all the tools, but maybe not the space. But we have seen this in action, right? Because we've been in Bhutan, we work with schools in Bhutan, where they actually flourish and develop all these senses, giving the space, right? So that's part of it. But of course, we can open more dialogue sessions, more focus on this, because they are passionate topics for all of us. And I think Sylvia also wants to add something to this.
Thanks, Paulina.
Silvia.
Sylvie?
Bueno, me gustaría responder también a Florian. Así que muchas gracias por la pregunta. Creo que también tenemos como que centrar las bases de la espiritualidad, cómo llevar la espiritualidad a la vida en general, ¿no? Bien sea a una comunidad educativa, bien sea a una familia. Y es un poco hablar de algo que trasciende el yo individual. Y creo que para eso también tenemos que ser como esos perfiles que inspiran, que hay algo que va mucho más allá, ¿no? De yo y de mi ego, ¿no? Yo misma. Entonces creo que también el ser como esa inspiración de trabajar con el sentido en la vida. No hablo de propósitos como casi de sueño inalcanzables, sino propósitos, pequeños propósitos que hagan salir al mundo de ese nihilismo que estamos viviendo actualmente y que es tan importante empezar a trabajar porque al final puede generar un cambio de mirada. Creo que estamos en un mundo donde realmente esa pérdida y esa desconexión actual con la religión nos ha hecho estar inmersos en como una pérdida a veces de esa ese norte, ¿no? ¿Por dónde vamos? Por otro lado, creo también que desde el momento en que la mujer, por ejemplo, se incorporó tanto, ¿no? al mundo laboral, los niños en general han perdido también como un poco ese norte que los padres también íbamos marcando. Entonces, como yo digo tantas veces en formaciones en los colegios, porque es donde invierto al menos el 50% de mi trabajo, del tiempo, creo que es importante que los profesores, que sé que tenéis una labor muy ardua, ¿no? Muy complicada, pero creo que es el momento de empezar a ser también esa imagen que queremos ver, ¿no? Y que queremos transmitir. Y si realmente todos de manera individual trabajásemos en esto, ¿no? En cómo poder transmitir esos valores y realmente hacerlo de manera coherente y congruente, podríamos también tener como otro feedback, ¿no? de la vida en el aula. Para ello es verdad que también tenemos que unirnos, ¿no? con nuestras familias que forman parte del sistema, pero creo que es importante esto, ser esa inspiración de esos valores y esa es un poco mi forma también de entenderlo.
Sorry for the English speakers. We didn't see that our like disappeared the translator. Yeah, suddenly you were hearing three people, suddenly no one. Okay, so let me just check what happened with our translator. If not, I can jump into the translation. But I will summarize what Sylvie was saying, because we lost a little bit of that and continue with the questions, but it was around how we sometimes lose this spirituality, right? And us as like for our children and the students or whoever is in this space, sometimes as mothers and parents needs to go working, so many times we just lose the the space for really developing the spirituality or helping our kids develop this spirituality as we go in work. Well, so the Spanish speakers did hear it, but it's around like how these spirituality practices are also important to develop in the house, right? Not just in school.
Okay,
Sorry about that. I will jump
can we go
into
to
the.
the next question?
Me gustaría poder intervenir un segundo.
Silvia, es que perdimos.
I would like to participate because I can try to speak in English, but for me it's not very easy, but I can try. I think that is very important, the idea of I'm going to silence the translation because I am sorry. No, thank you very much. Um, yeah, I think that if we want to integrate the spirituality in the in the schools or in the universities or in anywhere, I think one of the the problems that we have in this moment with the nihilism that we are living. When I work with the schools, I always speak with them that we need the teachers need to be the people who inspire the children in the values in the life, because I think that we are losing maybe the values because when the mothers were integrating in um, in the laboral or job in the companies, for example, the children are alone or were alone, and they couldn't integrate the values of the families. So I think that we need to be the inspiration for the children. I think the teachers about the behaviors in the day to day, and I think it's very important because we always think, could we integrate the values? And I think that if we are coherent and people that show the values through their behaviors, we could maybe it's very difficult, some words, but I am translated every word. But we can, I don't know, please help me. Pau, si nosotros realmente somos capaces de integrar esos valores y representarlos de manera coherente, muy probablemente esa espiritualidad se pueda transmitir. Eso es más o menos lo que quiero decir. Y no caer en ese nihilismo.
Yeah, that if we can really integrate those values and those characteristics, we can actually transmit them, right? Because if not, we fall into that nihilism.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So sorry for my English.
Thank you very much, Silvia, for the effort. If you give us a couple of minutes, we finish with the questions that are already there. Pau, how many schools have participated in this process and where are they located?
Yeah, I think for all of you, we're like on time, but also all of you who register, we will send you like the whole information with tackling all these questions and just summarizing and taking this. We've been working with one school in, well, there's one certified school in Costa Rica, then one in Vietnam, and we're working now with Royal University of Thimphu in Bhutan. So we have 3 certified, well, one in process of certification and 2 certified that have gone through the process or are going through the process. And we already had also another university in Zaragoza with the training model of Teachers of Happiness. So those are the ones going through. And Sandra, if you want, I'll just can tackle kind of the questions here, and then we can send you like the whole information with all the examples and everything. So I will just read, of course, if you want to stay longer, but for the people who wants to go and define the specific times, I'll just kind of tackle them.
Okay, the next one is, are the measures in the assessment phase already established measures or original creations?
They are, yeah, thank you, Sandy. They are, we cannot say, like, I don't think anything's original in this world, but we have based our model and our rubric and methodologies on many different models that we have taken, right? So it's our own model, it's the World Happiness Foundation model, Schools of Happiness, and the tools and rubrics and all the evaluation, it's from the World Happiness Foundation, created by the team of Schools of Happiness, taking many frameworks and models that already exist, like Happy Schools of UNESCO and many others, like in Denmark, there's also, right, like many different models that we use, but we can also, like all the questions that you are having now, we can exactly like send you what models we based on, but it's like the own model of the World Happiness Foundation.
The next question is from Sylvie. How much input do the youth have in the plan that gets implemented?
How much input? Okay. Yeah, so normally we use a model of train the trainers, right? So we go for that's why it's teachers of happiness, so they can actually apply it with the students. But for example, in Bhutan, we are making the students and the teachers very engaged in the process of creating their own initiatives, right? So we try to engage them, although we try to engage them through the teachers, right? Because we sometimes don't have that approach directly with the students. We train the trainers. So we train the teachers, but we always open that we include tools as coaching, right? And neuroscience tools, so teachers can help the students get to their own answers.
Okay, the next one is from Aileen, but I answered this directly. Aileen, I contact you. Yes, we have, and I have a list already, also from schools to contact. The next one, it's from Lynn. What is the program fee for this process? And also, if you can talk a little bit how it works.
Well, how it works, like
the program fee for this process.
but how they work, yeah.
Yeah.
Silvia already put there, it's depending on the number of teachers and students. So, and also it depends because some of the schools, they cannot pay, right? So we scholarship some of the schools. But it really depends, and we can send you a table with the number of students and number of teachers, so you can have a better idea. I think what we can do, because we already have all that information, we can gather up if we are missing anything in like kind of the brochure, so you can have it and very specified and very clearly, because all that information we already have it like detailed. But as we are finishing and closing the session, we will send all of that for you. I think all of you registered, right? If you didn't and you jump in just with the link, please feel free to send us here your email, so we can also send you all the information and next invitations, because I think, as Florian was asking, we would love to have more dialogues and conversation about education, right? As Gemma was saying, with the certification, it's not just a seal, it's actually becoming part of a community and becoming part of these innovative spaces of schools of happiness and what we call catalyst, a catalyst of well-being and happiness that can actually help your own communities. So yeah, I don't know if there are any more questions. I'm sorry for having to tackle them
Yes, they are.
fast.
Okay,
Yeah.
the next one. Aileen, is there a feedback survey like Happy Force to measure happiness in the schools? The school?
Yes.
Okay. Florian, I'm sorry, no, es Roxanis. Florian, hay que estar en amor y agradecido a la vida por vivir, tener presente eso, te reconecta con el ser y con tu ausencia. Bueno, hay comentarios. Esperen.
Comments, yeah.
Comment. The next one is from Lynn. In the public school area, spirituality is not per se pursue the plurality that exists here. Okay, thank you for the comment. Juliet, and now no more. Again, Lynn, for the teachers to be responsible for teaching, caring, discipline, curriculum, and a spiritual mentor. Role requires an elevate life condition and might be common languages. I'm sorry, I couldn't read it as a question.
No, but I understand. Like spiritual mentor role requires a elevate life and maybe a common language. How is this built in the teachers via schools of happiness? Yes, so in the curriculum that we have the different topics, and Silvia and team with Gemma, with Lesbia, they have developed also like all this terminology, right? So it's how do we understand, and we tackle that, and actually we have talked about that. What does spirituality means? What does consciousness mean? So that's inside the training for teachers, right? Like this common language, as Lynn is saying very, very clearly and importantly, we tackle those meanings and definitions, but also is what I was saying with Florian, right? We create the space for them to get to their own answers, right? But we do have like common meanings and language. So we all understand the same, right? But we do give spaces for flourishing.
Beatriz, one question is Beatriz.
Excuse me, only one thing. Celine she has a question, and she tell us, do you have a similar presentation for business? And yes, we have. We have a presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beatriz, you are gonna receive information, bueno, the recording, because you are subscribed to this panel. So all of you will receive an email with the recording. So and more information over in the mail. Okay, está bien, Beatriz.
Eileen, if you can share your mail, please.
She's in Catalyst also. Like she's part of the foundation, Sylvie.
Sí, está bien, Beatriz.
Perfect.
Pues creo que son todas. I think all the questions are covered. But if somebody has a final one, let us know now. No? Okay. If no, we closed right now this panel. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you, Learning Planet Festival, for hosting this marvelous event. We are really enjoying it. So tomorrow we invite you 5 p.m. New York time in the Learning Planet platform. You have the last one, and it's going to be very interesting because it's about the how to build, happiness goes in the curricula. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for being
Thank
here.
you. Bye.
Thank you.